never knew how much I loved my left foot, until the doctor told me he had to cut it off. "Gary," he muttered, staring at a hole in the tile over my shoulder instead of looking me in the eye, "we're going to have to amputate, and we're going to have to do it soon." His words hit me like a sledgehammer to the side of the head. I felt nauseous, dizzy, angry. I saw Dr. Meter's lips moving, spitting out medical jargon saying how far my diabetes had progressed, but all I could hear was the high-pitched buzz of a surgical saw, and all I could smell was metal on bone. I knew if I opened my mouth, I'd scream or cry or try to make some stupid joke or bitch out this doctor young enough to be my kid. So I didn't say a damn word. I slid off the table and felt agony shoot up my leg. I grabbed the cane I hated. It was like a shiny neon sign telling the whole world that I was sick, that I was broken, that something was wrong with me. As I limped past the front desk to the elevator, I felt embarrassed, ashamed, and most of all, angry. Furious, because it was all my fault. My beautiful wife and daughter had begged me to take better care of myself for years, and I knew they were right, but I just felt hopeless, paralyzed, stuck in my ways. After 58 years of doing things my way, I felt like an old dog suddenly being asked to do backflips. I mean, I knew I shouldn't eat candy, that the sugar was poison for a diabetic, but I guess I was an addict, because I still kept a secret stash of peanut M&Ms stuffed in a drawer in my desk at work where my wife couldn't find them. And I felt a tingle from my head to my toes every time I shoved a handful into my mouth. I knew I was supposed to get off my butt and exercise, but the couple of times I went to the gym, I could feel the muscle heads and the supermodel wannabes laughing at the clumsy, sweaty, fat old guy who couldn't even do a single push-up. I listened to the throbbing pain in my leg, and I felt like a failure. As a husband, as a father, as a man. And I felt something else, too. Terrible, nauseating fear. I mean, I thought I'd lived life the right way. I put on my suit every day, went to the office, sold insurance, and did pretty well. Even had something left after those bastards on Wall Street crashed the market. I stayed married to the same absolutely gorgeous woman for 33 years. We raised an amazingly beautiful girl. I guess, like a lot of guys, I felt like I was invulnerable, immortal, and now I was going to lose my foot, my dignity, and who knows what else to this disease. And no matter how much I tried to lie to myself, I knew it was all my own damn fault. Suddenly I got a text from my daughter Lindsay. It was a picture of her beautiful face holding up a midnight blue tuxedo, the tuxedo I was supposed to walk her down the aisle in. I knew Sam was the right guy for my little girl the first time I met him. He shook my hand like a man, and I could see in his eyes every time he looked at her just how much he adored my Lindsay. He even asked my permission before he proposed. I said yes right away, gave him a hug, poured some bourbon, and started thinking about grandkids. Sitting there in my truck, I counted it out. I realized the wedding was 11.5 weeks away, and then something in me just snapped. I pounded the steering wheel, screamed and cursed, begged God, and then I bawled my eyes out like I hadn't since my mom's funeral. I'd been dreaming of walking Lindsay down the aisle and giving her away to a man who would treasure her since she was 5 years old. For a terrible moment, I imagined the wedding day, sitting in a wheelchair with the left pant leg of my midnight blue tuxedo pinned up underneath my stump. The music starts. I have to look up into my daughter's eyes and hold her hand while my brother pushes me down the aisle. My stomach ties itself in a knot. I can't let this happen. I can't let my little girl down. But I had no idea what I was going to do. Suddenly, as I was driving home, a suicidal deer jumped in front of my truck. I slammed on my brakes and screeched to a stop just inches from the 12-point buck and stared at it until it crossed the road. In that dark moment, as I sat in the middle of the street, heart pounding, I knew I was at a crossroads, a major turning point in my life, and I figured I only had a couple of options to choose from. Option 1, I could accept my doctor's advice, schedule the surgery, become a handicapped person, reminded every damn day of my own weakness and failure. Option 2, I could stop feeling so powerless and take control. I could try to get to the bottom of this diabetes thing and escape this hellhole once and for all. I could stop mindlessly popping pills and find out the truth about this diabetes thing I tried to ignore for so long. And maybe, just maybe, live a life where I could be a husband, a dad, and hopefully a grandfather. And that's when I made a decision that changed my life and the lives of thousands of other diabetes sufferers forever. I decided I didn't care what my doctor said. I decided I wasn't going to give up my foot or my future without a fight. I decided no matter what it took, I was going to walk down that aisle arm in arm with my daughter on her wedding day. Suddenly, I had a newfound purpose, an inner drive, something to live for. I started my truck, swung by the tuxedo place to get fitted, and drove home with a weird, determined smile on my face. I'm embarrassed to say it, but I didn't tell my wife, Lynn, anything. I couldn't bear to tell her the bad news and see the pain on her face. Plus, I was bound and determined to change my future. I made a pot of coffee, slipped into my study, and went to work immediately. I downloaded all kinds of books about diabetes on Amazon. I forced myself to dig through hundreds of articles online and sifted through the BS and recycled advice about diet and exercise and found stories of people who had magically recovered. I felt like Sherlock Holmes or something, trying to piece together the pattern. And that's when I realized how lied to and screwed diabetics in America actually are. In fact, I discovered 3 devastating lies about diabetes that could cut 20 years off your life. Now listen carefully. What I'm about to tell you is going to piss you off, but it's important. The first big lie I discovered was the idea that Big Pharma is actually trying to help you get better. They're not. They want you to stay sick and buying their pills and falling into the trap of trying to manage your disease. You see, pharmaceutical companies don't see you and me as people. They see us as cash cows that they can milk money out of for the rest of our lives. Did you know that once you're diagnosed with diabetes, you're earmarked by Big Pharma in their computer system as a hot prospect? And for the rest of your life, they sell you drugs, blood sugar monitors, syringes, insulin, and a mountain of other garbage that funnels millions of dollars to their bottom line. None of which actually helps cure your diabetes, by the way. This makes me so angry every time I think about it. And it should make you angry, too. Think I'm blowing this out of proportion? Hardly. Get this. The CDC's latest numbers reveal that 29 million people in the U.S. have diabetes right now. And the average diabetic patient spends $13,700 per year in healthcare costs. Need proof this isn't just paranoid nonsense? Listen to this. Back in 1997, a man named Irving Weissman developed a unique method for curing diabetes. He actually demonstrated that he could fully cure diabetes in mice using stem cells. Professor Weissman used only adult stem cells, not from embryos, so there couldn't have been any controversy. Yet, pharmaceutical companies refused to sponsor clinical trials. Now, why would they do that? Why would Big Pharma effectively silence a research-based treatment that could possibly have cured thousands of diabetes sufferers? The answer is really quite simple. If Big Pharma finds a cure for diabetes, they'll have to say goodbye to the $245 billion diabetes cash cow that pours obscene profits into their pockets month after month after month. So they keep pushing drugs and insulin shots to manage diabetes, because that's where the real money is. Now, in my research, I soon discovered it wasn't just Big Pharma that was out to prey on diabetes sufferers. It was big food manufacturers, too. And that led me to discover big lie number 2, the lie that healthy foods are healthy for you. Here's what I mean by that. Did you know big commercial farming outfits get paid by the government to grow food even when it's not needed? 2 of the biggest crops they're incentivized to grow are corn and soy. Huge amounts of corn and soy are then turned into processed foods and sugary drinks which are proven to be addictive. And because of the partnership between commercial farmers and food manufacturers, it's almost impossible to find healthy choices in your grocery store. Even the stuff that is supposed to be healthy isn't healthy. Here's a good example of that. Have you ever read the ingredient list on a loaf of bread? Try to find one that does not have added sugar or high fructose corn syrup. It's almost impossible. And if you start reading ingredient lists, you'll find the same problem with all processed food items, including crackers, chips, and cereals. Even the healthy organic foods at the hippie markets often come loaded with sugar. But maybe you already avoid sugar, and you've done the smart thing by choosing sugar-free options. I mean, sugar's the main problem for diabetics, right? Eat sugar-free products, problem solved. I made the same assumption, and for years I drank diet soda and ate other sugar-free products. But little did I know that I was the victim of yet another big blatant lie. This third big lie was the lie that diet products are good for diabetics. Now here's the deal. New research reveals that sugar-free products may be even worse than the foods they're supposed to replace. That's because sugar-free products are loaded with artificial sweeteners that may actually cause glucose intolerance. The New York Times ran an article in September 2014 that reported the following. Artificial sweeteners may disrupt the body's ability to regulate blood sugar, causing metabolic changes, and can be a precursor to diabetes, researchers are reporting. This is what led Dr. Aaron Elinav, an immunologist at the Weizmann Institute of Science in Israel, to conclude that artificial sweeteners are causing the very same condition that we often aim to prevent. All of which is really bad news for type 2 diabetics like me who want nothing more than to get healthy again. Because it seems like everywhere you turn, there's a product or treatment that's supposed to help, but only makes things worse. It's like they're spoon-feeding us lies to keep us sick. But actually, it's worse than that. It's like this huge conspiracy to turn diabetics into half-functional sickos so that all the big corporations can farm us for profits for the rest of our lives. Now I have to tell you, the more research and digging I did, the more depressed I got. I was beginning to think I might not ever find a cure for my disease, that I might have to face the facts and do what my doctor had told me. Just man up and schedule my amputation. But I was not going to give up. How could I? I was absolutely determined to walk at my daughter's wedding, and I'd be damned if anything was going to stop me. Plus, if I didn't break the cycle of diabetes in my family from my grandmother to my dad to me, who would? This was bigger than me. I could not quit. I was desperate to get fast results and save my leg. So I did something that my wife thought was just a little bit nuts. I turned myself into a human guinea pig. I started trying every natural cure and crackpot theory I could find on me. And what did I have to lose anyway? I was already facing the loss of my leg. It couldn't possibly get much worse than that. So I decided to put everything to the test in the science lab of my own body. At first I was skeptical of everything, but I knew I couldn't let my skepticism stop me. I tried all kinds of foods, even foods I didn't like: kale, cauliflower, artichokes, Brussels sprouts, and more. I tried herbs and minerals and vitamins. I tried all kinds of activities that were supposed to be good for diabetics. I called up some naturopaths and alternative health doctors to get their advice and the best ways to escape diabetes. I even stopped taking my diabetes medicine just to see what would happen. As I did these things, I made an incredible discovery. The pharmaceutical companies would do anything to keep you from knowing. The real cures for diabetes aren't pills in a bottle. They've been hidden in nature all along. We simply haven't been told about them because there's no money in it. For example, did you know there's a tasty vegetable often served with filet mignon that's been proven to control blood sugar levels, increase insulin production, and curb cravings at the same time? I'm not kidding. I found the science that backs it up. But you've never been told about this before because Big Pharma can't charge you $500 for a fancy vegetable you can find in any grocery store. But this goes way beyond diet. I discovered dozens of simple things you can do to escape your diabetes in a matter of weeks. Starting from day one of my experiments, I wrote down everything I did and the changes I noticed. Anytime something worked, I made a note of it and kept on doing it. Anytime something didn't work, I dropped it from my routine. Honestly, I didn't notice the changes at first. It was my wife who said something. "Gary, you look thinner. What have you been doing?" she asked. And that's when I had a real scare. One day, all of a sudden, my pants began to slip off my hips. I know my first thought should have been happiness that I was making progress. But I almost had a panic attack thinking I was going to have to get remeasured for my tucks. And that wasn't the only amazing result I noticed. My blood sugar levels dropped like a stone from 386 down to 231 in the first couple of weeks. and eventually into the normal range I'd been chasing for years, below 100. And these days, I don't even think about my blood sugar levels. Even better, that horrible nausea and swimmy feeling in my head I thought I'd have to live with went away and hasn't come back. But I never expected the best thing that happened. Now, if you're a guy, then you know diabetes can destroy your sex life. Because of the lack of blood flow, it can be hard to get it up, if you know what I mean. So anyway, one night Lynn and I were getting ready for bed. I started feeling frisky. Next thing I know, we're making passionate love like newlyweds for the first time in months. It just kind of came out of nowhere. Oh, not that I'm complaining or anything. Neither is my wife, for that matter. She was as pleasantly surprised as I was. And just like that, just by following these simple steps, I was free. Just like that, diabetes was no longer controlling my life or even something I thought about. Just like that, my life has been totally turned upside down in the best possible ways. I haven't had this much energy since my early 20s. Not to mention my weight has dropped more than 40 pounds, and the persistent cravings I used to have are flat out gone. Oh, and when I went in for my checkup, my doctor looked at me with gobsmacked shock and told me I could keep my leg. I'm sure you can imagine how that felt. The happiness, the pride, the relief. And just like that, it was Lindsay's wedding day. My tux was a little loose, but I made it work. The important thing was I was there, and I was walking on 2 legs. I didn't even need a cane anymore. I tossed it in the garage. It was part of my old sick life, the life I had just escaped from and was never going back to. And there I was, standing arm in arm with my daughter outside the doors of the church sanctuary. I looked down into her eyes. "I love you," I said. She looked up at me with a smile I felt all through my bones. "I love you too, Dad," she said. The bridal chorus began, the doors opened, and my daughter and I walked down the aisle together. The minister turned to me and asked, "Who gives this woman's hand in marriage?" "Her mother and I." And then I gave my daughter away to Sam. The moment was beautiful and perfect and everything I had dreamed it would be. And it made all my suffering and struggling and striving worth it. I felt such a sense of accomplishment and joy and satisfaction in that moment. I had fought diabetes and I had won. During the wedding reception, an old friend came up to me. His name was Roger. He had type 2 diabetes. "Gary, what the heck have you been doing? You look great." I smiled. Somebody besides my wife had finally noticed. So I told him about the journey I'd been on, the same journey I've been telling you about. He got really excited, especially when I told him about the instant blood flow booster and how it had totally resurrected my sex life. He got even more excited when I told him about the cheat foods I was still eating. Well, after I talked to Roger, I kind of forgot about it until all of a sudden, people I didn't know were emailing me. Turns out the advice I'd given Roger had worked for him too. And now he was blabbing all about it on some forum online. He even posted my email address. Pretty soon, I was getting all kinds of questions from people. It quickly got to the point where I couldn't answer all of them. That's when I knew I simply had to share what I've learned with more people, regardless of the consequences. So one evening after work, I sat down and began to put stuff together. I went through all the notes I'd kept, everything I tried, and the results I'd gotten. And I began to organize everything and put it into a simple plan that anybody could follow. If I was going to help as many people as possible, I knew I couldn't make this complicated. I knew the plan had to be systematic, step by step, and easy to follow as a maze designed for a 4-year-old. And this escape plan had to work for people who just don't have the time or money, who only eat at Whole Foods and spend 2 hours a day at the gym. Diabetes is serious stuff. So I knew this system had to get amazing results for people wherever they're at. Ultimately, your diabetes does not have to define you. It's just a small, minor part of your life and who you really are. Finally, after nearly a year of non-stop intensive research, testing, and work, what I call the Diabetes Escape Plan was finally born. The Diabetes Escape Plan is a simple yet complete system that anybody can follow to escape diabetes and its symptoms in as little as 4 weeks. And when you dive into this escape plan, you're going to discover secrets for escaping diabetes you won't hear anywhere else. For example, did you know that there's a special chocolate proven to slash blood sugar levels starting with your very first bite? Get this, a recent study ranked 125 countries from the healthiest to the least healthy. The U.S. didn't even crack the top 20, but Belgium tied for third, partially because of its low rate of diabetes. It's no surprise then that Belgium is the world's leading maker of this special kind of anti-diabetes chocolate. Here's something else you'll learn about. Not all sugar is created equal. In fact, there's one form of sugar that's more dangerous than all the rest, and chances are you're consuming it every single day. I'll teach you how to identify and eliminate this dangerous sugar from your diet, and I'll also show you what to replace it with. Want a super simple way to reduce your blood sugar? Then you'll want to try the #1 spicy herb that can reduce your blood sugar levels by 24% in just 40 days. Just sprinkle a little bit of this herb on your food each day or take it in capsule form and watch your blood sugar levels plummet. It really is that simple. Oh, and that's not all. Studies show this spicy herb can also reduce cholesterol levels by 18% over the same time period. So you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You'll also learn about the magical fruit that reduces blood sugar levels more than twice as much as whole grains. In 2012, the University of Toronto conducted a study with 121 people with type 2 diabetes. One group was given whole grains daily, while the other group was given the magical fruit. After just 3 months, the magical fruit group saw their average blood sugar levels fall by nearly twice as much as the whole grains group. Talk about exciting. Then there's an inexpensive supplement that's been proven to improve insulin sensitivity by 34% in just 30 days. Not only does this supplement improve insulin sensitivity, it also reduces inflammation, repairs skin and connective tissue, and decreases systolic blood pressure. This inexpensive supplement is basically like a miracle drug for diabetics, without any of the nasty side effects that prescription drugs have. And here's the best part. You can get a 3-month supply on Amazon or your local grocery store for as little as $14. When you go shopping, you'll also want to add these. 11 foods that heal the pancreas. All 11 foods are easy to find and will fit in any grocery budget. Plus, they'll help you heal your pancreas and improve insulin sensitivity. Of course, everything I've shared here is just a small sample of what you'll discover in the complete diabetes escape plan. For example, you'll also discover one weird ornament you hang on your hip that will almost magically help you lose weight. Wear this ornament and you'll practically start losing weight on autopilot. And the studies prove it. The rabbit on a pole method of motivating yourself even if you've tried and failed so many times in the past. The simple exercise that melts dangerous fat off your midsection. And I'm not talking about sit-ups, crunches, or planks. This is really, really easy. The shock collar method for avoiding impulse snacking and unplanned drive-through visits while you're out running errands. How to eat at restaurants without feeding your diabetes or feeling like one of those pain-in-the-butt people that are always asking for stuff that isn't even on the menu. Delicious and nutritious foods that will make you feel fuller and more satisfied than you used to chomping down a porterhouse steak and 3 beers. The willpower myth. Why willpower will never be enough to make lasting changes. And what to do instead that makes change fast, easy, and effortless. The rolling snowball method of building muscle. Use this technique for just 5 minutes a day to build lean muscle and melt fat off your belly, legs, and butt. The strange story of how Big Pharma bought off doctors and turned them into pill pushers and drug dealers. This is really at the heart of why you can't trust the advice most doctors give you for treating your diabetes. That is, if you want to actually get better. Plus, discover the incredible psychology behind thinking yourself thin and how to trick your subconscious into almost automatically adopting the simple new habits you'll learn in the rest of the Diabetes Escape Plan. Remember, my #1 priority was that everything in the Diabetes Escape Plan had to work for ordinary people like you and me. And my #2 priority was that everything had to be super simple and not require a lot of time or money. Because when I began my journey to life beyond diabetes, I didn't have much time or money either. Just a hell of a lot of motivation and determination. So here's my promise to you. If you try the Diabetes Escape Plan today and follow the simple steps I provide, you're going to experience a noticeable drop in your blood sugar levels in the next 2 weeks. Not only that, you're going to lose weight, feel more energy, and start escaping from your type 2 diabetes. Stick with my escape plan for the full 4 weeks, and you're going to be able to get off of most, if not all, of your type 2 diabetes medication and say goodbye to finger pricks forever. Plus, because I want to make this as easy as possible for you, I'm going to give you these 5 bonus gifts. Free bonus gift number 1, the 10-second sugar craving cure. No willpower required. Just use this simple psychological trick to instantly destroy your craving for sugar in just 10 short seconds. Free bonus gift number 2, the delicious diabetes cookbook. What I hate the most about having diabetes is how much the food sucks. That's why I got my wife Lynn, who is one hell of a cook, to create this amazing cookbook. It's packed with delicious meals that are quick and easy to prepare. And don't worry if you're totally useless in a kitchen, because at least half of the recipes take less than 15 minutes to prepare, even by a culinary idiot like me. And to make it even easier for you, each recipe includes a printable shopping checklist. Just print it out and you'll know exactly what to get while you're at the grocery store. Bonus gift number 3, how to tell when your doctor is lying to you. The vast majority of doctors are firmly in the hip pockets of Big Pharma. Here's how to separate the good guys from the bad guys. Bonus gift number 4, how to move forward when your doctor delivers bad news. When my doctor first told me I might have to get my leg amputated, I was devastated. It would have been easy for me to give up and just resign myself to the outcome my doctor had decided for me. In fact, that's what most people do. That's because many people don't know how to handle bad news. They just go to a dark place and never come out. With that in mind, use the simple techniques in this bonus gift to find hope and courage and keep pushing forward. It could make all the difference in your fight to beat diabetes. Free bonus gift number 5, the couch potato weight loss workout. I still remember the old days when I was totally out of shape. I couldn't even do a single push-up. It was just impossible for me. A lot of men and women are just like I was, too out of shape to do much of anything and too embarrassed to even set foot in a gym. So I put together a super easy workout that anybody can do, even if you're a couch potato who watches 6 hours of TV a day. You can literally start with just 5 minutes a day, and you can do it right where you normally sit. Don't even have to stand up or put on gym clothes. Just do a handful of simple movements and you're done. But you'll be amazed by how quickly you notice changes and how quickly your arms and legs begin to feel toned. This program alone, which I spent months perfecting, is worth the cost of entry all by itself. So if you were throwing numbers at a wall, how much would you expect to pay to be free from diabetes forever? A basic checkup with your doctor can cost $200 or more. Even with the very best insurance, you're still talking about a $30 to $50 copay. And how many times a year are you seeing your doctor for your diabetes? 4 times? 6 times? More? Of course, the money you spend on doctor visits is just the tip of the diabetes iceberg. There's a good chance you're also spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year on prescription medications and treatments that do nothing more than manage your diabetes. If you do the math, it's pretty obvious your diabetes is already costing you thousands of dollars a year, and you're not making any progress. If anything, it's getting worse. And how much have you spent on miracle cures that didn't even work? You know, quite frankly, there's a lot of BS out there, and it's hard not to step in some of it. I know I did. Which is why I'm so dedicated in making the Diabetes Escape Plan so affordable, you'll feel like you're ripping me off by getting it. Let's just list out everything you're getting today. The full Diabetes Escape Plan system, step-by-step instructions, so simple and so easy to follow, even an 8th grader with ADD could do it. The program is broken up into bite-sized chunks that you can easily complete in 5 and 10-minute blocks of time. Everything in the program is based on my personal journey from being on the verge of having my leg amputated to being free of all diabetes symptoms in shockingly little time. I think you'll agree getting free from your diabetes is worth at least $197 all by itself. But you're also getting your 5 bonus gifts, including the 10-second sugar craving cure and the couch potato weight loss workout. The bonus gifts alone could be sold for $47 or more each. That's almost $250 in bonus gifts. Add it up, and it would be totally reasonable to charge $400 or more for this incredible life-changing program. But I don't want you to pay anywhere near that. I think back when I first got that devastating news about possibly losing my leg, and I remembered how emotionally broken I was. I was almost hopeless. I had very little money at that time, and there was no way I was going to be able to spend $400 on a program like the one I've created. I know there are a lot of diabetic people out there who are just like I was, virtually hopeless and living from paycheck to paycheck. So I'm not going to ask you to pay $400. I'm not going to ask you to pay $200. I'm not even going to ask you to pay a measly $100. If you act today and promise me you'll actually use my program to change your life, then you can get the complete access to the Diabetes Escape Plan plus all the bonus gifts for a one-time payment of just $39.95. That's a fraction of what you've spent on doctor visits, medications, and treatments that didn't work as promised. And it's a one-time payment. There's nothing else to pay ever again. Get the program today, and you'll have full access for life. The Diabetes Escape Plan also comes with a 60-day full money-back guarantee. If for any reason, or for no reason at all, you decide the Diabetes Escape Plan isn't a good fit for you, just contact customer support and you'll receive a prompt and courteous refund. No questions asked. I really do care about your success. I want you to kick diabetes to the curb so you can start living a normal life again. It's a journey I've taken myself, and it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Right now, as you watch this, you have just 3 options. Option 1, do nothing. Keep going down the path that will end with you where I was, wondering if you're going to lose a leg. You can continue to pretend you aren't having those nightmares about dying young. You can continue to get grumpier and sicker and stop living. You can become just another victim of the medical industrial complex. Option 2, try to figure all this out on your own. You can do that if you want, but you heard what I had to go through, how much time it took, and how close I came to failing. Do you really have the time? Option 3, risk absolutely nothing to invest in yourself and your health by enrolling in the Diabetes Escape Plan right now. You'll have access to the complete online program in just 2 short minutes from right now, and you'll begin to feel the changes within a week, guaranteed. People will notice it in your eyes first. You seem more awake. Something seems different, they'll say. Then they'll notice it in how you look and how you move and how much more energy you have. Your spouse may even be surprised when you get frisky in bed. If you really think about it, it's not a choice at all. I worked hard to do everything for you, so all you have to do is follow along like connecting the dots in a children's book with absolute confidence that you're doing the right thing for you, your health, and for your family. The only thing I can't do is push the button below. Enter your credit card information and dive into the program. So go ahead and click the order button below and sign up for the Diabetes Escape Plan risk-free right now. My name is Gary Martin, and I can't wait to hear about your success. Oh, one more thing. As I'm recording this video, it's been just over a year since my daughter's wedding, and I'm ecstatic to say that those 2 kids made me a grandfather, and Lynn, the grandmother she's always wanted to be. The little boy is so beautiful, and I am so grateful that I'm truly here to be a part of his life, that I can carry him, hold him, and play with him, that I'll be able to take him for bike rides and help teach him right from wrong, and that I'll be here to keep him from falling into the trap that's been laid for every red-blooded American, the trap of diabetes. Whether you take this step into a brighter future and better life or not, I want to thank you for your time, and I pray you won't forget what you've learned here today.